Hi, everyone. I'm Rahwa Berhe, the Vice President of Operations for Bittrex Global and the host of our video AMA today. We're joined today by the Director of Communications and Marketing at KleverOS, a great project originally built on the Tron ecosystem and now supporting both Ethereum and Bitcoin. I'm very excited to be speaking with Misha today. And if you don't know, the Klever app, which is now available on the iOS and Google Play Store, and their corresponding KLV token have been getting a lot of buzz lately. So we're really glad to have them on our AMA today. Thanks so much for joining us today, Misha, and for choosing Bittrex Global as a partner.
Thank you very much, Rahwa. I'm really happy to be here and really happy to talk to the Bittrex Global community and the Bittrex community throughout the world. And I'm really excited to kick it off.
Great. We sourced a few questions from the Bittrex Global and greater crypto community regarding KLV's recent listings. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Firstly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, the background, and the team behind Klever?
Sure. Telling me more about myself would probably take a few hours, but all in all, I'm a communications professional with over a decade's experience, originally from Sweden, living in Israel. I have a background in political economy, and I'm head of communications and marketing at KleverOS, which most people at Bittrex, of course, know as KLV, the new token that is currently trading on Bittrex. Klever itself is a team of 50 plus developers, engineers, experts in their field of software architecture, marketing, graphic design, UI, UX. And what's amazing about the organization is that we are utterly and completely global and remote. So we don't really have any headquarters. We have, of course, a base in Brazil where our CEO and our CTO and our BD, so on, a lot of our developers are, but we also have people throughout Canada, United States, Israel, evidently, Ukraine, South Korea, Japan, India, and Netherlands, throughout the world. It's an amazing group of people. I've never worked with a more passionate group of professionals who are hungry 7 days a week, 365 days a year to essentially make the best crypto product out there.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about what Klever is exactly?
Sure. Klever is a cryptocurrency platform designed to essentially solve the two big problems facing crypto over the past, in my opinion, 11 years. The first one is the security problem, and the second one is the user experience problem. In order to safeguard the full and utter security of our users' funds and their crypto, we use a new system called KleverOS, Klever Operating System, that completely protects the cryptocurrencies and holdings of any user by essentially making it into their device only. Nothing else can access it. No one can hijack your phone number, your SIM card, your Apple ID, your Android account, and access your funds. It's all about your device using biometrics, military-grade encryption, and added layer of security. So we solve the security problem by implementing a completely new revolutionary system, which we see as very groundbreaking in the software wallet market, which we call KleverOS. The user experience problem is something that is very almost close to heart for us because we are built from a complete perspective of user experience is key. If the user experience is not enjoyable, simple, intuitive, utterly beautiful in terms of design, we don't feel that we can field such a product. So that's why not only does it need to feel good and look good, but the product itself, Klever app, needs to be very useful and come with very easy to use services. And that's why we're partnering with companies like Travala and Cred to offer these very simple, direct products and services, in-app staking that we're offering, in-app swaps, all about user experience, and therefore having constant feedback from our community in order to understand what they want and what they need, and then we implement it. Simple as that.
Absolutely. So simplification, as you stated, was a huge component to drive usability, in addition to having like real utility in the crypto space. And you mentioned the Travala partnership. I would love for you to expand more about that.
Yeah, sure. So yesterday we announced a partnership with, it's something that we worked on for many months with the crypto, I would say, industry leader by far in travel bookings, and it's Travala.com. They recently merged with Travel by Bit, which is owned by Binance. So they also migrated to Binance chain. So Travala is backed by Binance, running on Binance, and are doing things very, very similar to what Klever is doing in terms of user experience. Travala offers 2.2 million hotels and homes throughout the world today. Soon they will be offering flights, as well as experiences like TripAdvisor, as in food, and tours, and so on. And we are going to do a four cross-platform integration, which means that Travala is going to be seamlessly be able to be experienced inside of Klever for all our users, which currently stand in the Klever ecosystem at more than 260,000 daily active users and more than 1 million total downloads. And the KLV token, so as a second integration, is actually going to be one of the accepted currencies on Travala for 2.2 million hotels and homes and all of their future services throughout the world, which means that the KLV holders, the Klever community, the ones who were there yesterday, the ones who are there today, and the ones who will be there tomorrow, will be able to spend their KLV on their future travels. And I'm personally super excited about that. And I know my team is, and I know that our community is. And it's something of a major use case. And for us, it's all about use case. KLV token is all about centric use case. It's one token for an entire ecosystem with countless use cases. And so we're super excited to soon field that product inside of Klever.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that feat. That's huge. And I love to travel. So, and I also am always looking for ways to actually utilize the crypto that I have. So I'll definitely check it out. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're also going to be able to add AVA, the Travala's coin, into the swap, which means that people will be able to have discounted rates even. So it's pretty amazing to work with a company like Travala that is super willing to offer themselves in a win-win situation. So we're also going to become a recommended preferred wallet on Travala's AVA section. So that's pretty cool.
Great. So I'm personally always very curious about the origin stories of names of different crypto companies. And as the director of communications and marketing, I would love to learn more about like where did the name Klever come from and why the K instead of the C?
Well, first of all, whenever you say, what's the name of the wallet or the company or the app, you just say it's Klever with a K. And then usually people just say, oh, that's pretty smart. So
Yeah.
that essentially, it's Klever itself and intrinsically. So it's pretty funny. It's very easy to remember. It's very unique in its name out there. There's really nothing out there that is as simple as it. And for us, we're using a lot of machine learning, and future we're going to also implement a lot of AI into our products. So what crypto for us truly is, Klever, is the not just evolution of money, but it's smarter money, right? You can program it, you can plug it into an app, you can use it in so many more versatile ways than you can with either your credit card or cash. So for us, Klever truly, it really encompasses so much about what the crypto and blockchain industry is, which is to make money smarter.
Great. No, I love that. Absolutely. Like that's the whole premise of crypto, right? Like more efficient, smarter, accessible type of currency. So that's awesome. On the topic of usability, I kind of want to pivot towards talking about the general Tron ecosystem. So for current users of the Tron Wallet, how did they migrate from the Tron Wallet to Klever?
That's a great question. So Tron Wallet, the previous app of the Klever team, is something that's been around for 3 years and has users literally throughout the world in the hundreds of thousands. In order to move from Tron Wallet to Klever, all a user has to do is download the Klever app for Android or iOS at KleverIO and input their 12 words that they can find in Tron Wallet, the 12 word seed. It's a backup that they can find, and literally input it into the Klever app. All your accounts will then directly be restored into your Klever. If you used any private key to manually import any accounts into your original Tron wallet, you just do the same in Klever, and it takes literally a minute, and it's the most seamless experience ever.
Great. Yeah, that sounds super easy and intuitive. So that's great. And I know you mentioned earlier the Travala partnership and the KLV use case for that. Are there any additional KLV use cases, and what exactly is the KLV token?
So as I said before, the KLV token, there's a lot of projects out there that have followed the philosophy of many tokens for multiple use cases. We are opposite to that philosophy, and we think one main token for countless of use cases, and that's truly when you get value and you get a huge demand by increasing the ways that people can use your token. So today, the KLV token can be used as staking inside the Klever app for 16% APR, which interestingly, actually, I just checked it before, it's 2.7 billion KLV is currently staked inside of the Klever app. And that is actually 74% of the entire 3.6 billion circulating supply. So currently 74% of all KLV is staked inside the app for 16% APR, which is something valid for 30 days, that if you don't touch it, if you freeze it for a year, it literally stays 60% for a year. And it completely decreases deflationary. So for the next few months of 2020, if you stake and freeze, you get 12%. Next year, 2021, you get 10%, and then it follows that 2% down until it reaches 2% in 2025. So that's one part of the KLV token, and that's where a lot of our users actually just do it. They stake it, and they receive hourly rewards that you can claim. You can also pay transaction fees inside of Klever.
Sorry, on the topic of staking. Yes, on the topic of staking, for our users that might not be very familiar with it, do you mind explaining to them what staking is and why they should stake with KLV?
Yes, of course. Staking is a very simple process of essentially taking your coins or your tokens and putting them into a freeze box. It can be for a period of 3 days with KLV and a withdrawal period of 7 days, and other projects can be longer or shorter. Staking essentially to lock up your coin for a short period of time or a long period of time to support a project and get a reward in return. That's truly what staking is all about. It helps the project by taking away a lot of the circulating supply on the market, and thereby reducing that kind of trading supply. And as demand increases, you can see with Klever, it's up more than 20% just over the last 24 hours. One of the reasons is because the supply on the market is very low. And the demand is increasing daily.
Apart from staking, what incentives do users have to hold KLV?
So beyond staking, you can also pay exchange fees and swap fees inside the Klever app. And you can reduce your exchange and swap fees by essentially just holding KLV inside your wallet. We have different tiers of how much you can reduce it. It can go down to as much as 0.15% for a swap inside of Klever, which is essentially just a one-click wonder between BTC, Ethereum tokens, TRX tokens, KLV, USDT, with more than 200 swap pairs. You can make P2P payments, and you can buy our VIP token, the TWLT, and as well as participate in new projects through crowdfunding moving forward.
Can you go over that one more time for our users that might not be familiar? What exactly is Klever Swap and how does it work?
Okay. So Klever Swap is really simple in its user experience. The user goes into Klever, clicks the swap tab, and chooses which coin he or she wants to pay with and which coin or token he or she wants to receive. They click whether they want to pay in the fee in KLV or in the BTC, TRX, ETH, or any other token that they're swapping. They click confirm, and our autonomous bots, which are all built in-house by our own engineers, our swap engine is completely under the Klever ecosystem. It's not any third party. Then sends with very high precision, security, and speed buy and sell orders to top exchanges and executes them, sending back the tokens into the user's wallet. And for the user itself, it's literally just a one-click wonder. And that's something that we've wanted to achieve for quite some time. And we're really happy with where the swap is heading, and it's a really strong cornerstone of the entire Klever ecosystem.
Great. And what role does the KLV token play in the current Klever Swap and the future Klever Exchange?
So, as I mentioned before, you can reduce swap fees with up to 25%, and you get constantly progressive discounts, whether you hold 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and so on and so forth. The higher number of tokens you hold in your wallet, the lower the fee. And by paying in KLV, it also routes your transactions to our most efficient service. And of course, you're assisting in making the Klever ecosystem a stronger engine and entity by using the KLV token that way. How it's going to play a role in the future Klever Exchange is it's going to be the main token on Klever Exchange. Klever Exchange is going to be both having centralized exchange aspects and decentralized exchange aspects, but KLV will play the major role in being the exchange token. So Klever as an ecosystem is not just building an exchange. We're building many other projects prior who are ready to currently being tested and optimized, and we are building many going forward. But of course, we're going to touch upon those soon. But what's important to take into account, once again, is that KLV is the token of the entire ecosystem. It's the fuel that powers the entire Klever world.
Great. So I know you mentioned decentralization in what you just talked about prior. So with DeFi being this hot topic in the crypto space currently, what are your views on that, and how do you see Klever playing a role in that?
I'm a bit of sometimes of an old-fashioned guy in terms of my views on DeFi, I guess. I think that Bitcoin is a perfect example of a decentralized finance started out with and is today, and many people use it as decentralized finance. But of course, in terms of the new craze, the new hype of DeFi with yield farming and liquidity pools that people participated, I think it has immense potential to go to a very empowering place for a lot of people throughout the world. At the same time, there's a lot of pit holes and there's a lot of risks. And I think sushi token or whatever other food token that's out there that some founder has run off with way too much without actually contributing long-term to a project is very detrimental to not just the crypto space, but to blockchain in general. So I think that as we enter this DeFi era of crypto, we need to be very concurrent and aware of what risks do we take and how can we cooperate as a community to mitigate those risks. And that's where Klever comes in. So we are entering the DeFi space in our own terms, at our own time, but with a much more user-centric point of view and approach. And we're going to reveal those plans soon.
Great. On the topic of being user-centric, I'm very curious to understand what separates Klever, the technology, from other blockchain projects.
So Klever, the technology, is separated from other projects mainly through having the same very strong, passionate, highly experienced group of developers who've been working on this project for over 3 years. KleverOS, the new operating system that Klever and Tron Wallet both run on, it is quite groundbreaking in terms of how transactions are signed, how libraries are stored, how encryption is securing the sensitive data, information, and crypto funds of users on their devices. So what's fascinating about the KleverOS is not just the level of security that it brings to the wallet. It's also enables two additional main features. One is that our developers can implement new blockchains with extreme ease. Instead of taking several months to implement and integrate a new blockchain, it takes 1 or 2 weeks. Where in addition to that, what I find one of the most fascinating aspects of Klever is that KleverOS has more than 100,000 hours of research and development behind it by our dev team. But we're also going to offer that as a service to others through an SDK. So any developer throughout the world will be able to literally plug in the Klever wallet into their app, whether it's blockchain-based, whether it is a business of personal or corporate size. You are going to be able to have a highly, highly secure, simple, easy-to-use crypto wallet with all features that Klever has.
Great. Misha, I'm noticing this reoccurring theme throughout today's conversation about community, right? And how Klever is committed to building community, whether it's the developers, the end users, or partnering with other people that are in or not in the ecosystem quite yet. So on this topic of community, I've noticed a lot of token teams have been giving back to the community, those that are in crypto and those that, like I said, aren't in crypto quite yet. Does Klever have any plans to contribute to the greater community?
For sure. There are several ways we plan to do this, and we're doing this already. Last week, we had our first coin burn. We essentially gather all the swap fees from the past period, and we then buy back KLV off the market and put a nice little fire and burn. Which of course reduces the circulating supply and the total supply of the coin, increasing in value. And this is something that we're going to do regularly moving forward. So that's one part. The second one is that soon we will be fielding something completely new and fresh that didn't exist on our previous product, but will be a major attraction for a lot of people and a lot of our community members throughout Asia, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Americas, you name it. And we're going to have a referral program for Klever that is going to be very, very, very attractive in terms of competitive rates on how much you can earn as a referral when you bring in your friends, your family, your grandma, or your colleagues into Klever. And I cannot reveal the details of that, but all I can say is that it's a lot higher than most other crypto projects out there in terms of offering back to the community, and we're super happy to do that.
Great. So how have you benefited from being a part of the Tron ecosystem?
I think one of the main benefits for us as a company and as a developers team on how we have benefited from being part of the Tron ecosystem is that Tron as a blockchain is extremely fast. It's very, very cheap to transact on, and each user gets a certain amount of bandwidth each day, 5,000 bandwidth, so they can actually transact for free. If you want to transact more than that, you can do that. One of the main benefits that we've taken from that is that we have built a product that is not built with the vision or the prerequisites of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, where you have to wait several minutes or hours for transaction, but instead it takes 3 seconds to deliver. So the user experience is based off of an instant delivery mechanism just by building off of Tron. So I think that's one of the main benefits. Another main benefit, of course, is the community that's really passionate, very agnostic on like which chain they're on. They just, many of the Tron community members, they just, they use a lot of chains and they don't feel very tribalistic about things. It's very feature rich in terms of features. So you have multi-signature, you have a burn mechanism on TRC20 tokens, you have now ZK snarks, so you have privacy features as well, and many, many more. And that's something that the Tron Foundation, I guess, was able to do by removing a lot of the thousands of nodes and instead focusing on a few more professional ones and keeping it more of a hands-on approach. So all these features, of course, benefited us. And lastly, we're a validator on Tron as an SR, and that has taught us a lot about blockchain governance. It taught us a lot of the mistakes that we think have been made, and of course the success that was. But we're going to bring that knowledge and that experience as we become validators on many other blockchains moving forward. And once again, where KLV will be the main power of those validator nodes on other blockchains.
Great. You touched on this briefly before, but what exactly is the long-term goal and vision of the Klever ecosystem, and what are some major upcoming milestones that are in the works?
So the long-term goal of the Klever ecosystem is to make crypto be not only safe for each user throughout the world, but also universal in terms of its use case. So that's why we're super happy to partner up with Travala to enable travel. That's why we're super happy to partner up with Cred last week to offer staking and lending with their joint products together with us. That's why we're very happy to work together with Zelapay in the UAE to expand our reach in the Arab Gulf. And that's why we are constantly building things that are useful and simple to use for the user. One of our entities that we haven't really touched upon now, but it's Klever Lab. So Klever Labs is our in-house development entity, where we're going to build, our first project is going to be the Klever browser, where once again the KLV token will be the main driver of that ecosystem. And it's a web browser, but we feel that there is really no good web browser out there that takes into account the needs of the blockchain community and the crypto user, who essentially want to be able to interact on a very instant level with either their gaming or their shopping or their transactions or becoming their own bank. And that's also one of the reasons that we're partnering up with a Brazilian bank to offer Klever Bank in the coming period, where each user will be able to create a digital bank account inside of Klever, as well as having prepaid debit card. It's all about giving the user the power and the independence over their own money and over their own choices and over their own investments.
Thanks for mentioning Klever Labs. I'm curious, when will the first Klever Lab, project be launched?
So Klever Labs currently is going to launch 2 projects over the coming 2021, meaning the next year. One is Klever Browser, and one is Klever Blockchain, because we feel and we're convinced that our entire ecosystem needs something that's not just high performing and fast in terms of delivery, but also more customed and more centralized to our needs as a community of more now than 1 million users throughout the world, and we're planning to become, quadruple that over the coming years. So we really need to be able to have a trustless system that is catered for the next generation blockchain systems. So the Klever Browser is already being built, started out. We already have a task team working on it. The first taste of Klever Browser will be in probably the first half of 2021, according to our roadmap. But what will come before that is Klever Exchange. So already this year, we're planning to field a beta of Klever Exchange and trying to learn essentially from our experiences and all the mistakes that have been made inside the crypto space among the exchanges, and try to give back the power to the user and trying to make it a lot more simpler to be part of the trading community and the crypto community at large throughout the world.
Wow. All of that sounds amazing. And I'm curious, how do you plan on engaging the unbanked? Where do they fit in this?
So that's something that I'm super excited about. I've worked a lot in my previous years in Africa, especially East Africa, in Addis, in Ethiopia, in Mombasa, in Nairobi, in Kenya, Kampala, Uganda, you name it, throughout East Africa, as well as Nigeria and Lagos. What's so fascinating about Klever and Tron Wallet is that our main growth markets are developing countries. Nigeria is becoming one of our largest markets. Philippines, Indonesia, Kenya, in Eastern Europe, India is now our second largest market in terms of active users daily on the wallets. So for me, how do we kind of tap into that, the unbanked? Well, we're already there. We're already expanding. We just need to create that strong connection that we've done with our community prior, and educate those users coming in not to fall for unfortunately a lot of scams that are throughout the crypto space, but instead be able to do their own research and field and participate in projects that have accountability, that have faces, that have names, that have clear plans and roadmaps, and that are backed by vision and passion. And I think Klever really stands out on all those fronts.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that. I was actually in Addis Ababa this past January, and so that's super exciting to hear
No
about.
way.
Yeah, I'm Ethiopian, and so I have a lot of family back home.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely a great need for crypto education and fiat on-ramps for a lot of people in the Horn of Africa, just Africa in general, or emerging markets in large. So that's really important.
There is an amazing hunger as well, especially in the Horn of Africa and East Africa for and West Africa. We shouldn't exclude one from the other. The Nigerian market is absolutely booming,
Yeah.
but at the same time, Kenya and Ethiopia and even Sudan, you start seeing crypto movements that never existed before, because there is always a sense of independence in those regions that they want to reclaim, and this is a very simple way to reclaim that individual financial independence, and we're super happy to join forces with anyone throughout the Horn of Africa and any other developing region to achieve those goals.
Great. Cool. So those are the questions that we fielded from Bittrex Global customers and our greater listening community. Misha, I'm really curious to know, why did you guys choose to list on Bittrex Global?
It's quite simple, honestly. Bittrex have been around since 2014, never been hacked, never had a security incident, impeccable reputation on that front. And I think that was the main factor for us to choose Bittrex over others as our first exchange, moving into the top 10. You guys being a top 10, sharing the liquidity pool with Bittrex US, and being part of Bittrex technologies throughout the world is, of course, very beneficial for us in terms of exposure, and mainly being able to tap into your 2 million plus traders and showing that we're doing things differently. We're doing things more transparently, more truthfully, trying to keep always to our values and our philosophy more than anything else. So I'm really grateful for everything that you've done to help us and assist us, in our first step into top 10. And it's just a first step, because a lot more is coming, guys.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure, of course, to support you guys. We're very passionate about innovative projects in the space that are making real life impact. And so just want to thank you again so much, Misha, for joining us on this great video AMA today. We've learned a lot about the Klever app and the KLV token. I'm sure our listeners thoroughly enjoyed this AMA. And if they want to learn more about Klever, just so you guys know, please check out klever.io. And that's Klever with a K, so KLEVER.io. And you can also check out their awesome Klever mobile app in the iOS or Google Play Store. So thank you so much again, Misha.
Thank you, Rahwa. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure.